What's up, guys? Here's a long overdue video. I've got a whiteboard ready. I tried to make this last night, but the quality was horrible. And so I've got good lighting now, and I filmed it wrong for some reason on the quality of the video last night. So check this out. If you don't know what Gleason's new standard map of the world is, the US patent allowed in November 15th, 1892. If you don't know what this is, and you don't know what that is, you can zoom in, look, or pause. If you don't know what that is, or this, you don't know flat Earth. You have no idea what flat Earth is. I researched it, I looked into it. No, you didn't. If you didn't take the time and spend a few hours of your life because a actual flat Earth friend sent you something, if you didn't spend hours trying to understand what they think, then you have no clue what it is. Your brain doesn't have in it what to type into a search bar to research flat Earth. I promise you that. I'll prove it to you. I'll ask you 5 questions and I'll know if you researched it or not. You were given damage control and propaganda. You went to the tops of the search bars. You went to the tops of YouTube. I don't care what the category is, whether it's currency, money, health, fitness, you're gonna get damage control at the top. Anything worth the shit is buried and suppressed. If you've never seen this, you don't know shit because it's buried and suppressed. If you've never seen this, you don't know shit because it's buried and suppressed about flat Earth. No, I'm not trying to be rude, but I will be if I have to. So if you want to know what this is all about, you've got to understand that Antarctica is actually an ice wall, and this is magnetic south. Magnetic south is all the South Pole is all around here. Magnetic north, the North Pole, is right here. Yes, I can put a magnet here and we can make it to where you guys understand using a compass, how compasses work on a true flat Earth map. This is what the Freemasons use and the Illuminati and all these entities that control the world. This is the technology and the knowledge that they use to keep us confined and to keep us controlled and not connected with the Earth. I'm not even kidding. If you know what a yin-yang symbol is, you know that there's a black dot and a white dot. Here's your black dot, here's your white dot, and then there's these swirls swirling around, right? That is actually the sun and the moon being depicted swirling over top of a flat stationary plane, our Earth. So our Earth is within this dome firmament. That's in your Bible. These are the great luminaries within the firmament. That's in your Bible. The stars are suspended in the firmament. The stars aren't trillions of different miles away. And then we're spinning 1,000 miles an hour. Then we're spinning around the sun super fast. Like, look it up, look up the numbers. It's kind of funny what they say. And then all that solar system is hurtling through the galaxy. But at the same time, somehow all these trillions of different, millions and trillions of different miles away, balls of gas must be doing the exact same thing. And they're always just suspended perfectly up in the firmament. They're always there. They've always been there. But we're going like this. Then we're going like this around the sun. Then we're hurtling through the galaxy. So all of these are doing the exact same thing perfectly at the exact same time, and they never change or move. Things like that'll, as an adult, really start mess with your brain. They'll start to mess with your brain. And so I'll go over it one more time. Here's magnetic north. Here's the ice wall. Think of this as somewhat 3D, crappy 3D image. This is the great deep. Some people call it the shoal. You have your sun and moon within the firmament, way up above where we fly and travel. The sun and the moon are localized, but they're so freaking high. They're way above where we fly. And the stars are fixed within the firmament, like it says in the Bible. And what are planets? Well, the planets change. Those are what they call wandering stars. You'll learn this. But this is the map, winter, summer solstices, all the good stuff. I can explain it. I can show you how compasses work on this map. I can show you how time works, anything, you name it. The solstices are kind of funny. You can use a flashlight, and when you have your flashlight spinning close here, and as the seasons change, the sun starts spinning above the flat stationary plane, and it goes outward, and then winter comes back, and it comes back in. You have these 24-hour sun, and you have all the sunlight in Alaska. Well, that's how it works. And then you have your summer, and that's how this system works. This is a perfect clock, guys. I know it's hurting you. I know that cognitive dissonance is kicking in hard. Let's kick it up a notch and show you why you have no idea what this is all about. These are just the basics, by the way. These are basics. I don't even go into this anymore hardly because it's just something I know and live with and enjoy. Keep to myself. Cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? When we're kids in elementary school, basically until you're about 7 or 8, you are in what they call a theta brain state. Theta is where you can be hypnotized. If you want to hypnotize someone, they need to be in this brain state. And so children, until they're like 7 to 9, you're in these states, okay? And what they do is they grab you and you get put in this public school education system. I've already gone over how public education curriculum is all Rockefeller funded, founded, and all that. But basically, you're developing your understanding of reality in this world when you're a little child. That's what's happening. And after 7 to like 9, it's done. That's ingrained in your head. And you are going to have extreme cognitive dissonance if someone wants to try to pull you out of that belief system and understanding of how the world and its systems work. That's why they throw the globe at you so early and the planets, and they make you memorize it and test on it and regurgitate it. That's called programming. That's what they're doing. That's what this public school education systems really are. And your kids are in theta going to school and they're getting programmed, and they will never forget this. That's their reality. So you have to understand what's happening, what happened to your parents, your grandparents, your parents, and you and your kids, if you want to understand why I am the way I am. So let's keep going though. So you're programmed, we've got to get out of that. I stepped back and said, holy crap, a guy actually told me, he's like, dude, you're really talented, but you're missing something pretty big. And he was right. I was actually not giving Flat Earth a try. I made myself look like a fool. A bunch of guys embarrassed me. I thought I was a sharp dude. I actually was not. Had no idea that I was subject to my own cognitive dissonance at an extreme level. And yeah, once I figured that out, I stepped back and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's so much better than all the dumb stuff I was taught in school. I'm like, this makes so much more sense. As an adult, pull out a whiteboard, bring anybody over here. I don't care if they work for NASA. I don't care they're a physics major. I'm ready. Bring them on over. But let's go to Antarctica. If you don't know what the ice wall is, the Antarctic Treaty or Operation High Jump with Admiral Byrd, you have no clue what's going on in Antarctica. Oh, I went there on vacation. Oh, I was stationed there, military base. You don't know shit about Antarctica. Here's why. Like I told you, Antarctica is an ice wall. That ice wall is what holds all the water in. Water has to be in a container. Water doesn't stick to a sphere, a ball that's spinning 1,000 miles an hour. It doesn't stick to it because of gravity and stay perfectly. We don't have perfectly glass-like lakes and oceans, perfectly calm, still oceans because of gravity and it's spinning 1,000 miles an hour, going around the sun, hurtling through the galaxy, but all that water is so perfectly still. It's like glass. That's not how this works. Water fills the container in which you put it in, and the ice wall holds the water in. The Antarctic Treaty was because Operation High Jump was a Freemason, a very, very popular, talented Admiral Byrd that was sent to Antarctica to explore. He had a massive ship. It was completely Freemason funded. This is open. This was in the 50s. When he came back, he talked about the lands he found and all the resources, the endless resources of coal and all these other resources and all the lands. And he was on a TV show. And yes, that TV show has resurfaced, and anybody that knows about this stuff has watched it and has seen it. So if you don't know what Operation High Jump was, you're not really going to understand why Antarctica is so important. Operation High Jump, he pulls his big Masonic ship with his whole exploration expedition team up to the big ice wall, and they have to jump up on top of the ice wall. It's called Operation High Jump because they got to go hundreds of feet up just to get on top and start to explore. Their massive boat is way down below the ice wall. That's what that's about. But after he came back and spilled the beans, then the Antarctic Treaty came into place. You have all these wars and all these nations they're killing each other's citizens back and forth. By the way, it's just a war game. It's all games. These nations, they all agree on the same thing. They all agree that you and I are not allowed to go to Antarctica. Go ahead. The Australians, there's way more flat earthers in Australia than anywhere on the earth, probably because of the history and how close it is to Antarctica. And there's history that you don't know about yet relating to Australia and flat earth. But there's so many flat earthers out there that there's a ton of them. There's these guys on this fishing boat that literally tried to zip and rip it to the ice wall, and they got intercepted. There's video of it. It's an awesome video. It's on the back of this board. I've got the link for you to get to that video on the back of this board. But yeah, these guys tried to grip their fishing boat and just grip and rip all the way to the ice wall, and they got intercepted by a battleship. They were going to get shot down. They got threatened. You can watch the video yourself. They would be taken down and killed if they got any closer to the ice wall. If you try to fly a plane over there, they openly tell you that they will shoot you down because of this. You guys have no idea that that exists. And that happened right after Operation High Jump. So all nations agree on this. We're all at war, yet all nations agree on that one thing, Antarctica. All right, moving on. Like I said, the ice wall holds in all the water. So this is just basic stuff. It's kind of fun. the ice wall actually holds in the water. And then you have the sun and moon as the two luminaries way above where we fly, pulling, okay? So you have the sun and moon, this positive and negative charge, spinning like this, rotating over the flat stationary plane, and you have magnetic north in the center, and you have magnetic south around the entire plane, around the entire like disc-like plane that holds the water in. That's where your pulling of your ocean tides are coming in and out. That's where it all comes from. Again, water has to fill. If you fill water in a cup, water will always fill the container in which you put it in and maintain a flat and level surface. Always. I don't care what you do. Ancients, after resets and they removed all the technology when people are trying to figure out civilization again, say you would dig a footer, you're an ancient and you would dig a footer with your hand tools, you would fill that footer up with water and draw a line across the water, and you would have a laser perfect, precise, level foundation according to the cosmology of the earth, the way the earth really is. That's how you would get a level foundation, perfect with the stars and the firmament and all that, like your pyramids and all that. That's how you had to do that, because water has a perfect, always maintains a level surface. I don't care what you do, you're not going to get water to stick to a ball. Dunk a tennis ball in water and then put it on a string and spin it, and you're not gonna, there's no way you can get water to stick to it. There's been massive cash prizes out since like 2012 on this for anybody that can make water stick to a sphere ball while it's spinning and replicate that using the scientific method. It can't be done within this atmosphere. It can't be done within this vacuum, okay guys? It is. We're in a big bubble. You got to understand that. So again, it's called sea level, not sea curve. Water will fill its container, and you're always going to maintain a flat level surface. This is also how levels work. You know, with the bubble in it that we use for construction, it's all it's called sea level for a reason, not sea curve. They have shot lasers, hundreds of miles, connecting lasers. They have shot lasers across massive bodies of water, proving that there's no curvature. As in, if you don't think lasers shoot straight and you believe in this, Professor Dave YouTube damage control propaganda channel, and that's the first place you went because it's on the top, which you probably did after you watched this video, and you see that you hear this word refraction and all this shit. If you believe that, then you don't believe lasers shoot straight. And if you don't believe lasers shoot straight, you don't believe in the word straight and anything straight, because that's how we make straight shit. You don't believe in straightness. You don't believe in straight. But yeah, they've shot lasers across frozen lakes, the salt flats. Like, these people, engineers, intelligence people, they have been doing this flat earth stuff for a long time. These projects are out there. There's thousands upon thousands of amazing projects and scientific method being performed out there in the real world by real people. They're not just taking a book's word for it. They're not just taking their imagination and CGI's word for it. They're not just doing that. They're actually sending weather balloons up to 130,000 feet and seeing that it's actually a flat horizon as far as you can see. But if you send up GoPro and Red Bull, you've got a fisheye lens, and all of a sudden the earth is curved. You can see the curve at 130,000 feet. Red Bull sends up the guy that jumped from outer space, what do you call it, a parachuter from out in space, right? You got that guy at 130,000 feet, you see a curved earth. Oh, that's propaganda. But if you send a weather balloon up to 130,000 feet, it's a straight freaking line. As far as you can see the left and the right, and as the balloon turns around, it's a straight horizon no matter how high you go. I don't care how high you go, the horizon is always going to meet you at eye level. That kind of leads us into perspective. So what is perspective in relation to flat earth? You can go to any beach, and using common sense as an adult, you can rewire your brain and prove flat earth at the beach with a telescope or a lens or whatever you got, telescopic lens. A lot of people use the Sony P900. Bang for your buck. It was the best, farthest telescopic lens you could get, and all the flat earthers were using it. When you're a kid, they told you that the boat went over the horizon. Okay, so they told you this boat, you're watching the sunset with your family, and the boat goes over the horizon. It went over the curve of the earth. Really, if you pull out your tool and your instrument and you look, so you're looking now, and you're like, oh wow, the boat just showed back up. Did it really go over the curve? If that boat went over the curve and you can pull up a tool that helps you see farther than your own eyes and it pulls right back up, it didn't go over a curve. If you think it did, what you're telling me is you can turn this way and look around a building or a mountain. Oh yeah, I can see on the other side of that mountain because of refraction. I can see on the other side of the mountain. No, you cannot see over that. It's called perspective. That boat never went over a curve because there is no curve. It simply went out of your eyesight's perspective, and you had to pull out a tool to make it reappear. As far as your tool can see, I don't care if you get a telescope or a Sony P900, as far as those can see, the boat will appear again because there is no curve. Shoot lasers, whatever you got to do. There is no curve. All right, so that's that simple. What is this? Photo world record, 273.4 feet. Okay, so the longest distance photo world record is 273.4 feet. Basically, it's a simple adult common sense argument. If you understand the basic trigonometry, which we'll get to, there is no curve. If there's a curve, we know the circumference of the earth. We know radius. We know basic trigonometry for measuring curvature. Every few miles, you're going to have so much drop. Every few miles, you're going to have so much drop. However many miles it is. Yes, think larger numbers. Of course, I get it. It's a large space. It's a very large distance, I mean. But what you got to understand is at 273 miles, there's going to be a significant, massive drop just according to basic trigonometry for understanding curvature. We'll get to that in a second. That photo would not exist. This photo world record would not exist unless we lived on a flat stationary plane. This is common sense adult stuff. You're going to have to reprogram your mind and really think about it as an adult. All right, gravity. Gravity, that variable of G, it's a theory. Look at any physics book. It's the theory of gravity. It still says theory. Gravity is a theory. They call it a force. I don't really call it a force. I call it acceleration. So you could explain it technically. I don't want to get into that with you guys because you don't necessarily need that right now. You're not there yet. This video is kind of for beginners, but there's probably millions of people around the earth, that know what gravity is. As in, they call it incoherent dielectric acceleration. The greats like Ken Wheeler on YouTube have made many videos on what gravity actually is. And you're never going to see this in academics. You're always going to have this theory of G. They're going to say, we don't know what gravity is. That's not true. Millions of people all around the world know about the electrostatic gradient of the earth. Millions of people around the world know exactly that it's magnetism. It's a magnetic field. You can describe it as ether torsion. It's a similar kind of concept and understanding. If you don't know what the ether is, you're pretty far behind. Just look up anything on the ether. Everybody, Einstein, Tesla, they all know the ether. Light can be nothing more than a sound wave in the ether. That's a Tesla line. The ether. If you don't know what that is what the Illuminati, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, that's what the elites on this planet use against you to keep you enslaved. I'm not kidding. They keep you enslaved because you don't understand ether and magnetic fields and the magnetic fields of the earth. You don't understand it. And that's why they're in control and you're not. So basically, gravity to me is always, it's just magnetism. It's magnetism and density. Don't forget the electrostatic gradient plays along with it. The ground is negative. As you go up higher, it's a positive charge. You can do things like electroculture. When you understand the electrostatic gradient, you can grow your plants in a specific manner and shove copper rods in the ground and make specific geometry, patterns, prisms, whatever you want to do. You can increase the magnetic field and the capacitance when you're germinating seeds or things like that. You're making a better magnetic field around your seed or around your plant so it grows better, faster, stronger, whatever you want to get out of it. It's called electroculture, and I understand it to the T, in and out. And I also understand it relating to the Fibonacci sequence because those luminaries, the sun and moon, this positive and negative pulling, swirling the way they pull, create this perfect Fibonacci sequence in all of us. That Fibonacci sequence, that swirl in the snail, that swirl is us when we're in the fetal position. That's how we were born. That's us in the fetal position in the womb. Fibonacci sequence is everywhere, and when you understand it using all of this stuff, you're going to see the world in a completely different way, and it will literally unveil your mind. You have endless opportunity, not just for finance, guys. It's not all about money. It's not all about finance. This is a lot deeper, way more beautiful than money. One day you guys are going to figure out that you can't eat money. All right, moving on. 13-month calendar. What is that all about? I've made videos on this before. It was really fun. I believe that we should be following a 13-month calendar. It's a lot more natural. Women have 13 moon cycles. Turtles have, for the same reason turtles have 13 hexagons on their back. There's a reason there's 13 of them there. There's a reason the Native Americans, glorified the turtle. They had the 13 hexagons on their back. Women have 13 moon cycles. I think that there should be 28 days and then one neutral day where the sun disappears. You know, it's a day of rest and resurrection. Call it a neutral day, whatever you want, whatever your religious system is, believe it however you want. But I think that April should be the first month of the year because that's when life comes back. April should be the first month. That's when life's coming back, spring, etc. 28 days in 13 months, then you have one neutral day, which is the resurrection. And then look at this, September, October, November, December. What is Sept? Sept is 7, Oct is 8. I've gone over this before with a lot of people. Sept is 7, Oct is 8, Nov is 9, Dec is 10, Julius, Augustus. What are these? July, August. Whose sons are those? Who do they belong to? What has happened is you have a Gregorian calendar, which is SMU, shit made up. The Gregorian calendar is shit made up. It's for banking, it's for controlling societies and pulling people off of their circadian rhythm. When people are pulled off their circadian rhythm and they can't connect with the sun and the moon and the earth, and they don't understand the magnetic fields and they don't understand the ether, they require way more energy. They are weakened. Their immune systems are down. They are not as powerful at all whatsoever. If you are, the more connected you are to the earth's energy systems, the more powerful you are and self-sufficient you are. They don't want you self-sufficient. We have been controlled ever since this Gregorian calendar because this pulls you off your circadian rhythms, all of us. We are weaker because they keep us slightly off, just like they keep us off of a 432 hertz with our music. They tune everything to 440. All of our instruments are slightly off of 432. Why do they tune it to 440? Because it's slightly disruptive and more acidic rather than neutral or more alkaline like 432. If you don't know what that means, we're not going to get into that right now. But all of our instruments are tuned to 440 for a reason. Look it up, Nazis, Operation Paperclip, that kind of stuff. You can look into it. But again, this 13-month calendar is very, very important. If you don't understand that Sept, the 9th month should be the 7th, and October should be the 8th month, not the 10th month, and Decagon is our 12th month, but it should be the 10th. If you don't understand that there's something wrong, yes, there's a month missing. No, I don't know what it's called. Yes, intelligence officers and Freemasons around the world say they know what it is, but they're not ready to release it yet. Whatever that means, whatever, I don't even know if I believe in those types of statements, but I do think that there's a 13-month closer to the Sanskrit calendars and the Mayan calendars that we don't know what it is. It's missing. I don't know what it is. Maybe I'll find it someday. But again, they are trying to pull you off of your circadian rhythm, all populations, so they can control you. And they put you on a banking schedule. Law merchants, we're law merchants. It's all about goods and services and trade because that energy, they're providing the energy now. They're providing everything. Shipping is all energy. Goods and services, it's all energy. Currency is all energy. And when you don't have your own and you're not self-sufficient because you don't know how the world really works, you rely on them, U.S. Standard Oil. The world used to be free, clean, and limitless energy. They used to pull it from the ether. That's deep. That's in these videos. I'll kind of tap into that when I flip this board back over and tell you what I'm into now and what I really love. My passion is really at relating to this. But again, that 13-month calendar is to pull you off of your circadian rhythm and control bodies, mass bodies of people. And they've been doing it ever since. No curvature. We're going to go back to this real quick. Just trigonometry. 8 inches per mile squared. That's a great average for beginners to understand. So 8 inches drop per mile squared, and it's consecutive, and so it gets larger and larger and larger. So if you travel 1 mile, you have a drop. If you travel 2 miles, you have a drop. We have formulas for curvature, whether it's a golf ball or a basketball or the entire almost 25,000 miles around the earth, understanding the radius as well. We have formulas for measuring curvature, and we could actually go out there. We have plenty of tools, cars, planes, lasers, to where we could measure curvature if it was there. We could go see the curvature if it was there, but it's not. And so understanding the Pythagorean trigonometry calculations that are out there that aren't that difficult to understand. It's like trig 1, I would say. I'm not a big mathematician, but it's pretty easy for me to figure out. If you believe in formulas in rocket science, why doesn't this formula work for you now? Why don't you believe in these formulas? Why don't you believe in them when it comes to common sense? All right, why do I have biblical? Biblical flat earth is a big thing. I didn't see that coming, but when I got into flat earth, I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, these are all like Christians and religious people in here. And then I quickly figured out why and understood it immediately. But if you read your Bible, you're not going to read it differently. Don't be like, oh, Spencer's a non-believer, because that's not the case. And he's a conspiracy theorist, non-believer, blah, blah, blah. Just because you've been reading your Bible your whole life doesn't mean you know more than everybody else. And I promise you, biblical flat earth is a big deal, and it's a massive movement. And there are homeschools all around the world that have biblical flat earth teachings in there and not globe theory. I promise you. And it's actually kind of normal in that community. But when you read your Bible, you're going to see words like immovable, as in the earth's not spinning 1,000 miles an hour. It's immovable. It's stationary, not spinning, not going around the sun, not hurtling through a galaxy. You're not going to see anything about balls and spheres and any of that stuff. You're going to see over the circle of the earth. You'll see these things in the Bible, over the circle of the earth, a circle like a cul-de-sac, not a sphere, not the ball of the earth, not the sphere of the earth, over the circle of the earth, like looking down on a cul-de-sac. You're going to think about the 4 pillars in your Bible. Think about this phrase, rests on its pillars. You're going to reread Genesis and Enoch, the book of Enoch, in a completely different way. You can look at it in a completely different way and understand it differently just by understanding this. A lot of people do. Probably hundreds of millions of people, and you're missing out. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I wasn't even into scripture until after flat earth, and now it's makes a lot more sense, and it's way more beautiful than it ever was. Everything is more beautiful when you understand flat earth cosmology. I'm not even kidding you. Everything is way more beautiful, and it's not CGI. It's the real deal, which is awesome. So remember, flat earth is not going to change your belief systems. I have a ton of friends that have reread their Bibles, and they're like, it makes way more sense, and it literally says it right here. They come back, and it's great. But again, we're going to keep moving on to the firmament. What is the firmament? I told you on the front of the board. The firmament is in the Bible. You're going to see this word in the Bible. It's the big dome. You watch all this TV and movies, there are domes everywhere. Think Hunger Games, where she shoots the arrow at the dome. Think the show The Dome. There are domes on top of buildings with crosses on top. And if you know what a cross is, the top is lightning or energy or fire. One side of the cross is wind. One side of the cross is water. And the bottom side of a cross is earth. A cross is an antenna. They're always on top of domes, and the bottom of that cross is always over the dome because of how Earth really works. You got to understand electromagnetism and why there's these massive triumphant arches, these big Persian arches that you walk through, that you go see on your crazy Vatican trip or whatever. These are actual horseshoe magnets. They were massive old world horseshoe magnets, and you have no clue how they were built or why they're there or what they really are made out of and what they do. And that's just how this all works. But once you understand the firmament, you're going to have, and if you watch what I get you to watch, it's on the other side of this board, you are going to see the most beautiful depiction of Earth and what it is and how it works. And you're going to see illustrations and drawings and ancient cosmologies, all types of illustrations from ancients all over the world, all knew this. This is nothing, there's nothing new under the sun. This is not new. This has just been buried and suppressed in the basement of the Vatican, kept out of academia. They gave you an inverted version of all this. So yes, the math adds up. I know why the math all adds up. I'll explain it to you in a second. Actually, I'll explain it to you right now. So all the math adds up because all they did, imagine you have a ball. Imagine if you were to peel the bottom of this ball, poke a hole, and you could peel it back. They took this ball. Okay, they took the flat earth cosmology. Sorry, I said that wrong. They took a flat earth circle disc and they made it into a ball. Okay, all the math that they use still adds up. They know the answers to the equations before they start them. The people that do the math don't know that. But the early publications, the Pope had Copernicus publish this stuff. This is the Jesuit order. Okay, this is Freemasonry at its finest. This is all the way back to the earlier. I'm not bashing Catholicism. I'm not bashing the Roman Catholic Church. I'm bashing evil popes and evil entities that deceive. They deceive people so they can control them and keep them in a debt slave banking system like the Vatican. That's all it is. These popes have been evil. Yes, there have been some great popes. They have been absolutely evil. And what they do is they invert everything, and the math adds up. It really does add up. I was like, holy crap, that's why it adds up. So you have this flat earth cosmology, right? I'm trying to do a circle with my hands. And then what they do is they made a ball out of it. So all the math still adds up. I don't want to explain to you how or why that works. I could write it out on a board if you want to someday. But if you were to take that ball and peel the bottom and flatten it out, that is the size of the map I showed you earlier. Does that tell you how much higher that dome is, that arch? If you ever watch the rockets, they're always an arch because they're not going to space. They're shooting them out of the Bermuda Triangle and all that stuff. So if you take that globe and you invert it, they invert everything, that's a massive circle. It's a lot bigger than your brain can comprehend before I told you this. That means the dome is much bigger and it's way higher to the top of the dome to get to space than what we're told. And that's why the sun and the moon are way up there. They're actually localized. They're localized. Think positive, negative. Think electrolytes, the water. Think cisterns, things like that. Oh, sorry, I was tapping into something you guys don't know about right there. But yeah, the dome, the stars are fixed in the dome. The planets, we call them wandering stars because they do move. They do move amongst the dome. They shift and stuff like that. They don't go away, but they do shift. They call them wandering stars. And if you were to ever really look at them through telescopes, or say you ate some psilocybin and your visual acuity was through the roof and you're not like tripping and you just have insane visual acuity, which I can get from psilocybin, you will see that the stars are these beautiful, colorful rainbow light. It's like they're rainbow and like they're in water, and then they're going like this and they're all rainbow colored. But then you have these like solid planets and they look dead. They're just I don't like them. So I've eaten psilocybin and I've looked at the stars. I've stargazed. I've done it during the day, at night, and man, the planets just aren't that appealing. They're not even close to as appealing as the stars. But yeah, the stars are fixed in that firmament. The planets are up there. They do shift. They call them wandering stars. We'll get into that. But the sun and moon are localized within the dome. All the ancient cosmology has been buried and suppressed from you. It's there. I've got it saved on tons of flash drives. It's beautiful. Moon. What's that right here? Duh, you're behind. If you still think we went to the moon, you're behind. We didn't go to the freaking moon. If you haven't figured this one out yet, you'll probably never get there, and your cognitive dissonance is very strong. If you don't know, Kubrick filmed it, and it was probably done in the desert, etc. If you don't understand we didn't go to the moon, all of this probably won't do you any good. That's like step one. That was a decade ago for me. So if you're not there yet, I don't know how to help you. Maybe you don't need help. Maybe it's us that needs help. Maybe it's people like me that needs help. Yeah, so we're going to move on from that. We didn't go to the freaking moon. Here's an Instagram, IG. Here's some Instagram pages before I flip this over. Flat Earth Official. I scrolled through it really quick. It didn't look like propaganda or damage control to me. I wanted to throw somebody else's channel out there. Instagram, Flat Earth Official. It had some good stuff on it. This is my favorite Instagram account by far. Flat_Earth_stuff_V2. Also, my favorite Instagram is the Improbable Dreamer, but that's the next level. Once you figure out flat Earth, you get into mud flood and Tartaria and all that, you're going to start understanding why megastructures are built the way they are and what type of technologies they buried and suppressed from us. If you really want to keep understanding flat Earth and see debates, and you want to see a flat Earther get debated by a physicist and get destroyed, a real flat Earther doesn't get destroyed. Austin Whitsit. His YouTube channel is Whitsit Gets It. The dude is talented. He kept going where I left off. So I got to understanding gravity and as incoherent dielectric acceleration. I wanted to replace the variable of G in all rocket science with the variable of A, but I guess you're not allowed to, even though it would make no difference. But I understand what gravity is, and I stopped there. I'm like, holy crap, I got to get out. Once I saw that, I'm like, that's enough. I got to get out there and start reliving life and figure out this, readjust and recalibrate and reset, basically reset, restart, and start re-educating myself. I got to get out there and live in a different way now. And what he did was he kept studying and he kept going, and he's still going, and he's super talented. So if you don't believe in any of this, or if you need help understanding more and you listen to some of his debates, they are awesome. He's on point and he can just fire it out like nothing. All right, moving on. Let me flip this over. Again, there's your cool little depiction. If you need technicals, if you're an IQ kind of guy, intellectual quotient, IQ, EQ, emotional quotient, if you're a very super right brain IQ kind of guy, 200 Proofs by Eric Dubay. You're going to have to go to DuckDuckGo. I know they got Badabagoo or whatever. You're gonna have to go to DuckDuckGo, you're gonna have to click on videos, and you're gonna have to look for 200 Proofs by Eric Dubay. You won't get to it, it'll be buried and suppressed or made fun of. You're gonna get damage control on it. People trying to down talk it. If you watch 200 Proofs by Eric Dubay, I think it's like an hour and a half. It's phenomenal. It's for all the basic common sense technicals for flat Earth. Nobody really watches that and comes back and is like, he has no idea what he's talking about. They usually won't respond. If someone watches that, they won't respond because they'll be upset and mad, and they'll never talk to you about it again, because then they'll know how much you know. So again, 200 Proofs by Eric Dubay is a really good one for technicals. I knew the technicals, I got it, I studied it. I didn't necessarily need Eric Dubay. That was a good foot in the door, a great foot in the door. He covers a lot of stuff, and he really is, in my opinion, also a very well-researched genius. But my favorite sequel, documentary, call it whatever you want. My favorite movie, I don't even know what to call it. I guess it's a movie. My favorite series of all time, anything I've ever watched in my life, is the spiritual sequel called Lost History of Earth. Don't watch this first. You gotta watch What on Earth Happened 1 through 13. So I want you to go to DuckDuckGo, type in What on Earth Happened 1 through 13. Click on videos, and you want to watch an 8-hour version by Ewaranon or Ewar. If you don't do that, you're gonna get crap or bull crap. So again, DuckDuckGo, What on Earth Happened 1 through 13. Click videos, and it's an 8-hour version by Ewaranon or Ewar. This is the spiritual sequel to this. So if you don't watch this, you're not gonna understand this. Don't start with this one. This one will mess you up, and you may fall off the wagon because you're gonna be like, you'll understand why. Watch this first. I think number 8 is missing because Rumble does have the missing episode 8 because Pizzagate, there's a lot of defamation of character for some human trafficking and some hardcore stuff. Don't let your kids watch that one, but it is available. You can find it on Rumble, but it got pulled from all social medias and stuff like that because it was exposing some serious stuff. You got some big name elites like Rothschild. And did I say that good enough for you to get? Rothschild. Some illegitimate, those guys running Pizzagate, and you got your Hillary Hintons and things like that in there. But yeah, that's a very rough episode. It's harsh. Don't watch it with your kids, but it is available if you can find it. Again, after you watch this, your mind should be blown. Mine was blown. I've never looked at the world the same way ever since. Go to DuckDuckGo. Type in Lost History of Earth. Click videos. You're looking for a little over 5 hours, a 5-hour spiritual sequel by Ewaranon. It's a 5-hour version, spiritual sequel of this. And that one is my favorite movie series of all time of anything. My favorite, hands down, by far, changed my life. Absolutely beautiful. Changes the way I take vacations, look at megastructures, look at the world. It's incredible. But after all of that, you're gonna have some questions, which could lead you into where I'm at now, which I've been, I'm way light years ahead of most people in this arena. But it's because I don't watch Amazon, I don't watch Netflix, I don't have kids yet. And this is what I do. If you start looking into the world's fairs, you're gonna understand that our history was reset. And these world's fairs, they were repopulating cities after a reset. All of the streets are mud, and you have these massive megastructures, and you have all these great fires, and then they have these world's fairs where all these technologies were introduced and shown and all that jazz. They were rewriting history, bringing orphan trains in, and they were repopulating cities after a historical reset. This is deep. You're not there yet, but I promise you, you will understand it if you watch this stuff and you listen to me and watch some of my links. It's undeniable. I found out through learning all of this that my great-grandfather was an orphan, and he was one of the members of an Oddfellow. He was the upstate New York Oddfellow orphan. And we never would have known that had I not started learning all this stuff. Orphans are everywhere. Oliver Twist, Huck Finn. Think about all these stories. Think about all the Disney movies and stories that you've watched where it involves orphans. It's always about orphans. Get rid of the parents. There are no parents. You ever want to know how this Industrial Revolution happened? They reintroduced old technologies, and it was a historical reset. And they had all these kids that they trained. The World's Fairs were like a school. literally, I have a planner notebook video that I could send to you so you could see exactly what the World's Fairs really were, where they were retraining all these young little kids and these citizens to grow up, to work in these factories and to become good little workers and to create their systems, all their banking systems, all their commerce, all their economics. They were developing all this debt slave system and all that stuff and rewriting history. That's what it was all about. And the mud flood is basically a cataclysmic event, man-made, not man-made. You're going to understand no matter where you go, there's anywhere from 10 to 100 feet of mud that shouldn't be there. And when I say mud, literally look at any photo from the 1800s. You have these massive mega structures. There was no concrete truck, horse and wagon, ropes and pulleys, but you have streets of mud. And you have mega structures. Where's the concrete truck? How did you get millions upon millions of bricks here, in these streets of mud in the middle of nowhere with a population of 200, 2,000? Impossible. And so what was possible was a completely different historical scenario that we don't know about, technologies that were there, civilizations that were there, that we've been lied to about. Our history is complete and utter bullshit. So again, I want you guys to watch these. They changed my life, and really understand that is my map. I'm not ashamed of it at all whatsoever. If you want to try to argue with me, I may engage, I may not, most likely not, because I really don't care. I'm about a year and a half past this. I've moved so far past flat earth. It's a knowing, it's an understanding, it's instinctual. It's not memorized bull crap rocket science that just stays in you, that's this low vibration energy. It's understanding where you're at in nature and how everything works. It's a flow. It's a resonating flow of information. You don't have to memorize it. It's a knowing. Once you get past and you get to this point, you start understanding the yin yang, you start understanding the sun and the moon and the pole and the electrostatic gradients of the earth and this electroculture type stuff. Once you start realizing that, you're gonna be like, holy crap, we don't need government. I'm telling you, energy was free, clean, and limitless. They used to pull it from the ionosphere through antennas on top of the domes. The domes, think of upside down speakers, they were resonators. You had red bricks, was iron oxide capacitors. You had wireless power induction leading to dynamos. There's always an octagon-shaped dynamo room and foundation. Like all of these structures all around the world, they didn't house people. They're not just government buildings. They're old world energy structures. They're batteries, they're power structures. There's so much to it. There's cisterns in there. There's fountains underneath. There's springs underneath of these mega structures. Most of them go as far below as they are above, as above, so below. Pyramids are radio transmitters. Pyramids, the Louvre gives that away. The Louvre, it has the pyramid attraction above and below. They all are the same way. They're radio transmitters. Think about the gold tips. Think about what they're made out of. The geopolymer that has piezoelectric properties like quartz. Understand what coquina is. Understand what limestone really is, and understand what piezoelectricity is. I learned all this stuff through this. I know what quartz is, what it does, how valuable it is. I know this stuff. I learned it because of this. I would have never learned this in school. Never. But yep. That's my rant. It's the longest rant I've ever made, but it's been a long time coming, and it was upon request, and that's what I got for you guys. So let me know what you think, and comment down below if I've got any flat earthers out there already.